Here we are with the Commissioner of the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League. It's under your administration where that change was made. Mario Cecchini. Mario, I would love, the floor is yours if you want to give us the state of the league, because we're honored to have you here.
How long do you have?
Oh, we've got as long as you go. We can hold this game up for you.
Well, first of all, thank you for asking and for giving the occasion. First of all, overall things are good. We're going through a year that's probably unique. With the first thing that comes to mind, obviously, is the NCAA change, and we'll get back to it. But things that are interesting on some of the usual metrics that we look at. Crowds are up. They were up last year 4% league-wide. They're up as we speak right now, literally precisely 2.9%. So it's good to see growth on top of growth. I'm happy with that, absolutely happy. That's a good sign. We've reduced, it's our first year with 64 teams. Yet the community, as we had hoped and predicted to somewhat, but more hope, it's their decision, supported the teams at the same level. So all the sponsorships stayed. So allowing again for the kids, for the teams to do more. So it's really appreciative of the sponsors in the community that support us that way. That was a little bit of a gamble, and we took it and it paid off. So people understand why we were doing that. So those were two sort of big changes that we did that are happening this year. And obviously, we managed that change. Was rumored for a while since last year, but when November 7 hit, they actually put the change in place at the NCAA, effective August, changed the world. I mean, that's a true paradigm shift, as you know, and since then we have 35 players that came back to our league, which is a testimony to the fact that the only reason they were not in our league was to study in Division I later, and was nothing against our league. And as soon as they can come back, they did.
How much was the leagues at the table in this conversation to allow CHL players to go on to play in the NCAA?
Zero.
This was all CHL, all Hockey Canada.
Pure. Sorry. What's your question? You mean at the table with
at the table with the NCAA? Yes.
I want to be clear. Nobody was at the table. It's all NCAA. That's important because even the NCAA is a very elusive organization. They don't have a commissioner. They work school against school because it's recruitment. It's not like a draft, you know. So it's totally different. To really understand the NCAA is a bit complicated. When I say zero, I mean when they take the decision, literally who's around the table, it's schools of the NCAA, their council. Did we talk to people? Did we offer opinions? Did we say we would like it, not like it, and so on? Of course we did. But there's not one authority at the NCAA. That's what's very interesting. If someone talks to me about the Q, for example, in the constitution of the Q, the commissioner has some powers and things that he can do on his own or supported by, obviously, a vote. But there's a lot of things that we do operate as a company. You don't always go to the board for a vote. It's not like that in the NCAA. So in that sense, it's ultimately their call, and they did it, realizing the impact it's going to have. But they want, like us, the best players in the world to go to their schools. So they are designing the new rules right now so they make it even easier for our players to go there, which in turn means that the players that we were losing because they wanted to go there can also now, because now we can have even more the best of the best, inclusive of Europeans, inclusive of Americans who can come up and play. So that's really a huge paradigm shift.
How much does it affect the scholarship fund and the scholarship process with the Q?
That's probably being debated right now at the NCAA level. For us, it doesn't affect it at this time. You know, it doesn't affect it. What we know from the rules is that apparently, as we speak today, and that's Feb 28, 2025, other scholarships are not allowed when you get to the NCAA. Will they alter that also? Because they did make a lot of change. Maybe they will. That's why I say as of Feb 28, 2025, we have to think that it doesn't. For us, we will look at this. We will always supply the player, like, you give us a year, you get a year of scholarship. Give us 2 years, get 2 years of scholarship. 3 years, 2 years of scholarship. That's the way we look at it. If the NCAA changes their rules, could it affect what we do? Maybe. But the intent for us is always that's part of the deal we have with the player, of course, and his family. So that remains to be seen on how it evolves. But I don't see it changing that much. But again, it's a moving target right now.
To come back to our league, there's going to be 18 markets in play next year. Of course, Newfoundland will be there as Acadie Pathurst is gone. I know you're on record saying we're looking to expand. Where does that move forward, and what are you looking for in the future?
Well, I think again, we're back to the NCAA because we're always very careful not to dilute what I respectfully call the product, so not dilute the game, making sure that we have enough pool of players to have an extra 2 teams, or 4 teams ultimately. This rule changes the game in terms of people available to come to play in our league. And that's why now, I think the expression is make hay while the sun shines. That's what we're looking at right now. Right now, there's an opportunity, there's momentum around this. The mere fact that 35 guys came back, people have to realize that's close to 2 teams that turned around. So the guys that they replace is probably 2 teams that were good enough to play in our league that make up those 2 teams. Before the others who may want to come this June, and now all the Americans and Europeans that may also look at our league. So for us, that's what made it happen. And we're looking everywhere. We're looking in Canada, not adverse to looking to the northern United States, eastern, of course, and see what happens there. But we've been in touch. We're starting the process, and we'll see where it leads. Obviously, it's safe to say there's a political climate right now that creates some challenges for the Canadian dollar. So we have to see how that plays out. We'll be very prudent. But, expansion goes with pool of players, scratch, we have that. And then you go great cities and then great ownership. If we don't have that mix, we'll be very prudent. We won't rush into anything.
You come with almost 2 decades experience in media before taking this job as commissionership. When you look at the media landscape now, what are some of the things that the Q is looking to do improve? I know there's 2 really nice podcasts, and also to see a game of the week on the YouTube is fantastic. But where would you like to see it go?
Well, you're very nice because you just made me much younger. It's actually 4 decades of experience, of actually 37 years. Well, you just named 3 things very important. We just did the game of the week on Thursday, free of charge on CHL TV, for instance. We launched. And I don't know why it took 4 months, but it's always like that because probably the NCAA slowed us down a lot in the fall. But finally, we got a Around the Maritimes podcast. And then the other week, it's the Aux Quatre Coins de la Ligue, so the French podcast. So every week we publish. When I hired Raphaël Doucet, which you know, of course, we said we wanted to get to content because unfortunately the media crisis is not about to be over, and it's running into challenges with less bodies available to cover our league, and at a time when coverage would be so tremendous because of everything that's going on. So the podcast was one, to reaching out through the fans in many other ways. We want to also entertain them through the social media and doing stuff that is totally different, like the making solid and fun stuff around the players, the prospect visiting the Bell Center on Tuesday night. What we did with Sidney Crosby for the trophy, for example, we reached incredible. Assuming that people know, we named Rookie of the Year. For some reason, was the Rookie of the Year with no name to its trophy. Sidney won it, so there you go. That's going to be his trophy, and so that reached levels of whatever you young guys call it, clicks and engagement, to record numbers. But more seriously, I'm concerned. I'm concerned when I go to markets and say that I see the number of journalists or media that I do is less and less all the time. It's concerning. It's concerning. I know that Minister Saint-Onge is looking at, for instance, at how she rebuilds Radio-Canada and CBC. I met her in Montreal last week for the Four Nations. And for what it's worth, we chatted and so on, and I made clear that the regions in this country make up this country. I mean, that's where things are happening. And it's not true that people don't read or not interested in local news. That's where they mostly go. Ask anybody who's a mayor, like I met the mayor this afternoon, they find you. So that's what it's at their heart. There's a saying in politics that if you close the federal government, nobody will notice for 3 weeks. If you close the provincial government, it's going to take 10 days. You close the city, it's going to take 1 hour. That's what's close to people's hearts. So to me, in terms of coverage, it applies also. So we have to think about that, but it's society's issue and way beyond us. But so we have to come to part, and we'll do probably more events that will attract the attention. We launch a prospect game. We announced that October 21st next year in Sherbrooke. And I can tell you all already, our CMO was telling me that markets are calling and want to be in line to host that game. So it's probably going to be in the Maritimes at some point, then back in Quebec, then back in the Maritimes. So everybody will have its turns. But to me, when we do something like that and the teams get excited, it means we hit a bullseye. So I'm very happy with that. So it's a combination of many small things that will compensate for sometimes the bigger coverage. This being said, I just want to say, in some of the Quebec media, major media, Journal de Montréal and La Presse, are running very good stories on a weekly basis on our guys. This morning we had a story from a Slovak player who just finished his school in French. And Val d'Or published it on social media, and the Journal de Montréal picked it up and made a full page on it. Last week was a young player who's Veilleux from Val d'Or again, 5'9" or 4'10", and he's upset that he's overlooked because the scouts, if you're not 6 feet, and he spoke his mind. He got covered in the main media. So when we have stories that are compelling, the media will be there also. So it's also in our hands to present stories in a way that is compelling for everyone.
Well, Mary, you're doing a great job reaching out to the alumni, revamping the records, and getting everything done. I appreciate taking some time, and always a pleasure to see you around the rink.
Thank you very much.